Oh, of course, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, all right, so I'm going to just bring up a couple things to give you a little bit of a tour of what we have here and so forth. So, in addition to being a regular brokerage firm, I never
Okay.
seem to be able to do anything normal and simple. And my goal with the firm, and I think I told you this when we first started talking, is that I want to run a team of people more than I want to do real estate transactions. I never really envisioned myself like writing contracts. I want
Okay.
to hand over most of the business that comes into me. I want to build where I'm your back office. I'm the one that helps make sure everything happens, and I'm the one that brings up the new opportunities. Um, Not necessarily like So my goal is to build this so that you guys make most of the money. That's why we structured the payouts kind of the way we did.
Okay.
And what you see on the screen, or should see on the screen now, is REI homepage, which is kind of my homepage. Gorilla Real Estate Wholesale Broker, Crimson Cape. So Gorilla is us. I Fund Your Deal is the small amount of lending I do. REI Answer Man is our education. Wholesale Broker is our back office, not a licensed brokerage because you can't be, well, I'm not a nationally licensed brokerage, but the back office for wholesalers and off market stuff. Crimson Cape's our property management, and this is one of our property buying companies. So this is sort of like when people say, "Well, what's your website?" I send them here. You should send them up to Gorilla. That's what your cards will say.
Okay.
And right now, I'm holding off a little bit on doing cards. I mean, you're welcome to, but only because there's actually a national brokerage back office brand that is talking to me about having me be their PA broker and basically bringing Gorilla's licensees under them. The advantage there is that we would be able to recruit agents nationwide and make a downline. It's basically like an EXP that's in launch mode, effectively.
Okay.
I have 1,000 questions for them, and the longer this goes on, the less I'm interested in it because they're not been that coordinated in answering my questions. But I want to give it another week or so to see if it goes anywhere, because if it does, it will bring national level education to our agents, and it will bring the ability for us to have a network nationwide and be able to bring on agents nationwide and get paid. So I want to hold off, about a few more days before, a few more days, a week or so before I order business cards, because I don't want to order 1,000 cards and then a week later have to add their logo to the cards.
Okay.
Um, so but it's a long shot because they were apparently not used to someone like me, which is one of the reasons I left EXP. Because I said, great. I said, I'm down for all that. I like that idea. I see what you can do for my agents, and what we can do for each other. I said, but I have all these other operations that you'll have that I have complete autonomy, and you guys will stay. Not only will you be okay with it, but you'll actively stay out of the way of. And because EXP considered everything else I did, they considered my monthly meetups to be a risk to the company. I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with it. So this company, I laid it out there and I said, run this by legal, run this by whoever the hell you need to. What I like about this company is that they're very, very flexible, and they'll let us pretty much run. They're like, listen, as long as we make X per transaction, we don't care what happens in terms of how else you run the other, something percent. So like, anyway, so that's that. So you probably by now have your Flex login.
I do.
And actually, I think I might need to get my computer deleted all my logins, so I'm not sure if I even. Oh, my login does work now. Okay, I was having some trouble with my computer; had forgotten my logins. So the quick tour of the login is most things happen under the hamburger. I mean, there's great links over here, and remember, as a new agent, so before May 31st, 2026, and this is where it kind of bites in the cycle to be getting your license when you're getting it. Um, or when you got it, I guess. By next May, you're going to have to take your CEs all over again and renew your license, which is
Okay.
no big deal. It's just, and it's important when we get there. I'll walk you through it. But there's a special package of CE continuing education called, well, we all call it colloquially the newbie CE, or the first year CE. There are specific courses that state wants the first year to get, or the first renewal to get. So it's any other. Okay, NAR has their requirements each year or 2 years that they want certain ethics points and whatever. That's separate. That's the NAR. this is the license. But just when you're lining up for the May, your license is dead on June 1st. So you have to file. You have to get all your, which is it's a no-brainer. We're talking like I think it's 10 hours or something. It's not much. I do all of that through the CE shop. It's bing boom done. Larry Delgrado also teaches great ones. But anyway, so under the hamburger, and I'll just go here. Like I have some listings. And you can go under here to add listings. You're incomplete. You can do CMAs and all sorts of stuff, which I can teach you in depth. I just want to show you that here it exists. One of the first things I like to do is to set up searches. And before I forget, I want to do. I want to squat that. I don't want to go here. I want to do zip forms for you as well and get you show you around that world.
But yeah, I was playing around with the zip forms the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll definitely take some time for me to go through all the forms and see which ones are which.
Yeah, and I'll walk you through sort of how to set up basic template transactions, and in about a week, well, I will send you a login now to, and I don't think you'll need this login to our paperless pipeline software, which I'll show you in a second. But by the end of the month, that's changing to a different software. So like if you do a deal between now and then, great. But if not, like don't worry about the learning of paperless pipeline. But the checklists in PP are very helpful. But anyway, so back here, one of the things you want to do is you want to search. You want to set up a search set up a subscription literally for yourself. And the way I would do that is I would go to quick search, and whether you're searching, and this can be, so the first thing is I always search all the boards. Whenever I'm doing a search, I'm searching all the boards. The reason is you and I are only members in Scranton. So everything we list will show up on the Scranton board. If someone is looking for a deal and they don't look on the Scranton board, okay, yes, the databases are all merged, so it does share information, but I don't trust it. And I don't know why I don't trust it. I always search all the boards. Dan Taylor, who's the president of Scranton Board, I've known Dan for nearly 30 years. He did a great job getting all the boards. The silos, the boards are different legal boards. You're a member of Luzerne, you're a member of Lackawanna, whatever. But the databases are all merged. However, I always search all boards. And then you're going to set up a search. And the purpose for this is to get you expired listings. And let's just say you did residential and multifamily. Maybe just do residential, whatever. You can do that. Fine. You're going to do status of expired. So active is some broker is actively showing and advertising and hoping to God someone goes and visits their property. That's active.
Okay.
Contingent is it's under contract with contingencies, whether it be inspections or whatever. So they're saying, the broker saying, yeah, you can go look at it, but there is something going on. There's an agreement. It's contingent. Coming soon, very, very rarely used, meaning, hey, I signed this contract and it's coming soon. Like I actually did a coming soon email to the board email account, and I got a fine for it. So I just ended up listing the property like 2 months before I wanted to. Pending, it's under contract with someone, just waiting for it to close. Contingent is another version of this contingent. And what that is because we merged all the databases. So some of the fields that are slightly different from each other came in as separate things. Closed, it's dead, it's gone, it's sold. When you're looking for what something is worth, when you're looking to evaluate, developing a comp, basically, you care about closed. You don't care about active or pending because active is what someone's hoping to get for it. Pending, it freezes at the asking price. It doesn't know the actual final asking price until closing. So if you want to know, every house in that neighborhood is being advertised for $500,000, that doesn't mean they're selling for $500,000. It means they're being advertised for $500,000. When you look and they're actually selling for $250,000, then that's closed is what matters to you. I'm going to skip expired because that's what we're coming back to. Withdrawn is the broker has pulled it from the market. They're still in control of it. But for whatever reason, they've said it's no longer public advertising. Like a wholesale deal came to me. We went under contract with it. We found a buyer. We did everything. And then we found out, because we forgot to look, honestly, that Berkshire Hathaway had withdrawn the listing. It was not active. My guy had searched actives. He hadn't searched everything. And so the seller ended up paying 2.5% to Berkshire Hathaway, who didn't actually have anything to do with connecting this sale, but they still had an active contract. They had pulled it from the market, but they had not canceled their contract. Really, there is no cancellation in the agreement. Brokers can cancel, but Bob Vanson's philosophy, as is mine, is we don't cancel. Bob was my first broker, and that was one of the things he taught me. I never understood why. I actually kind of thought it was a mean practice until now. Bob's brokerage firm is making 2.5% for having, and I don't want to say for having done nothing, because they did everything to prepare and market and advertise the property up front. And then they ended up pulling it. So they had work into it. And then canceled is the parties have mutually agreed that this contract is over. So that's kind of a walkthrough. Expired is different. Expired is simply the clock ran out. And the reason expired is good for us is because all that happened was the clock ran out. So if you were to pick, whatever so it's you're picking whatever category of property, residential, multifamily, whatever boards, and I go with all boards because I'm now going to pick a geography. I'm now going to say I want to see all expireds within whatever the hell that circle is.
Okay.
And then I'm going to let it do its gerbil thing, and then I'm going to save a search, and I'm going to create a subscription. It's still gerbling, so there's a problem. But I'm going to save a search, and I'm going to create a subscription where every day it emails me. Every day it emails me the list of expireds. Now, the first day or 2 days is kind of throwaway because it's going to send you every expired basically throughout history.
Okay.
Which is okay. You'll just like, why the hell do I have 400 of these? But after the first couple days, it's going to still send you you're going to sort them by newest. So you'll get an email that says these things expired. You sort by newest. And wow, this expired yesterday. This expired last night. This expired 2 days ago. And what you're going to do with that list is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look and see if, and this is obviously gerbling, so I won't really worry about showing you how to. So we can do a separate. If this wakes up, that's great. But we can do a separate video. You can just Google how to do a subscription within Flex because obviously it's being a pain in the butt. Okay. But you're going to, and I'm just going to log in a different window here, and I'm just pulling this one up. This is actually one of my properties that I leave on here as an example. So you're going to look at this, and you're going to say, oh, 108 Grove Street. It'll say expired over here, instead of pending. Fine. And then you're going to search again and see if 108 Grove Street comes up again as active. Because a lot of times what will happen is the agent will accidentally create two listings. And so one will expire and the other one he'll remember to keep active when he extends it.
Right.
Or whatever, or for whatever reason, they end up with, for whatever reason, it gets relisted as a separate listing from the first listing, or somebody else beats you to it. Somebody else gets to that expired before you did, gets to that owner before you did, and they get the listing. So now it's active again under a whole different brokerage firm. Whatever. The point is you want to make sure you're not wasting your time in that, in chasing an expired that's not expired. Then you're looking it over and you're looking at it and saying, okay, well, they wanted 120 and, um, you know, this is the information. Do I think this is worth it? Do I think this is something I feel I can represent as a listing agent? Blah, 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 blah. And then you're going to come to, and of course, I use this one. And then when I get to this point, I have to explain where it's actually more difficult to do this. But Good People, Good Homes LLC. If it's a personal name, what I'm about to show you is easy. If it's skip tracing a company, there are some other steps I won't cover here. But you found the owner's name. The other thing you found is the PIN number. And the reason I paused there is because Luzerne County, Lackawanna County is great about this. Luzerne County changed their website and they took free access to real estate data off their website. And they've not brought it back even in a paid version. There are other ways to get it paid. But what you're going to do is you're going to say, I want to know how to reach that owner. Okay. The first tool you're going to use, which comes with your subscription, I think you have to set it up. I think it's a separate thing, is Forewarn. Forewarn is an app, and I want to make sure I can reach my phone because Forewarn double authenticates, I think they call it. All right, so the double authenticates is it has to now it's going to send me a text message.
Okay.
And assuming it actually gets through to me, I'll log into Forewarn. And Forewarn is a way to skip trace by owner's name and city and state. And I don't know why. Of course, because I'm on Zoom, everything is freaking slowy. Give this a second here.
That's
All right, yeah, something's jammed up. Okay. Anyway, so Forewarn is the tool, which I'll have to show you separately because apparently all of my technology is failing me today. But Forewarn is a good tool for getting the addresses, the phone numbers of that owner. What you'll do is you'll enter the owner's name and usually just the state that they're in and maybe the city. Because you want to make sure if you put in the address, city, state, and you format the address differently than it's formatted in the database, then it's not going to find it. Or something like that is going to happen. So you'll use this, and pretty much then you will call the owner up, and you will say, "Hey, oh, here it is, 4-1, it finally came through." You'll say, "Hey, this is Anthony from Gorilla Real Estate. I noticed your property at 123 Main Street had expired. Wanted to see if that was something you still wanted to sell." And again, when you do these calls, I will be there with you if you want, and we'll three-way call them until you're comfortable. I call it the doctor method. You listen and see me do it, and you're taking notes because it's your deal.
okay.
When you're ready, you say, "Hey, Steve, why don't you listen to me do it?" We do that a few times, and then you can go on your own, or you just go on your own. Like if everyone, no one doctor methoded me. Maybe that's why I'm not that great at it. Whatever, but basically, I'm not leaving. I'm not throwing you to the wolves. You can search by phone number, but really what you're doing is you're searching by name. And you're saying, Steve Franco. Now, this particular listing is owned by a company. That's a whole different set of steps. But when you have one of those, I'll tell you, Steve, PA. So now, you can find a quick criminal background on somebody. Not terribly useful, although I do tell my agents, and especially my female agents, always glance and see if they're in trouble for something scary before you go meet them alone. Is phone records. And I will tell you that this is my primary phone number. This is the one I'm on every day. I don't know why its last seen date is last year, but that is the correct number for me.
Mhm.
This is my business line. I am on that line every day. I
So
whatever.
are we looking for expired listings only in the Lackawanna, Luzerne County area?
That is
Or
really so you're licensed statewide.
okay.
Wholesale nationwide, but well, wholesale you can do without a license nationwide in most cases, but you're licensed statewide. Um, I do Luzerne, Lackawanna, and again, I
Okay.
don't go looking for listings myself that often, but I do Luzerne, Lackawanna just because it's a matter of how far I want to drive.
Okay.
Ryan, although he doesn't do a lot of them either, he does Lackawanna and like Wayne Pike. So
Okay.
when he's drawing a pizza, that's his pizza. So it's really where you want to go. Now I'll tell you that there's a lot to be had when there's some good opportunities when you travel. Pocono, yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
Pocono,
Toronto,
Lehigh Valley.
yep. So
Um,
if you're the bottom line is, and I have done listings statewide. I did one I literally listed something in Pittsburgh. It
okay.
really there's problems with it. The first problem is we're not on that board, so I had to find a way to get it on that board. That particular seller didn't care. We sold it by not using the MLS down there. But I did it through a listing agreement. We just signed a listing agreement for something in Philly, which will never get on the MLS. But I can get into the intricacies of the wholesale law, but because of the intricacies of the wholesale law, I decided to do it as a listing agreement.
Okay.
So you can do them anywhere you want. The challenge comes into two things, and you kind of have to you have to decide how well you can service the client. Now, first thing is, I can get us, and if you wanted to do Lehigh Valley for a couple $100, which I'd probably have you pay that. I have an account with Bright MLS, but for a couple
Okay.
$100, I can set that account back up, or you can set one up. Either way, I don't care. I think I might have to set it up first, but whatever. With Bright, which covers basically Allentown, literally, and I've wanted to do this, but I just haven't had a lot of business down that way. Bright covers literally from Allentown to Virginia. We're only licensed in Pennsylvania, but everything you put on Bright gets seen from Allentown to Virginia, like literally the
Okay.
state of. So the challenges in doing a faraway listing are, number one, if they're outside your board, getting them on the MLS is going to cost close to $2,000. Bright's cheaper, but every other MLS in the state pretty much is about $1,800. So like, is that listing worth that? Second is, can you properly service the client? Meaning, go down there and do pictures, hang signs, do the logistics you need to do, or can you find a licensed person down there to collaborate with you? Or are you better referring the business and taking a 30% referral fee for the brokerage, and you get your piece of that? But basically, are you better off saying, you know what, Mr. Client, I'll help you. But really what I'm doing is I'm helping you find an agent down there. Or you don't tell the client, you sign them up, and then you refer the deal to an agent down there. That's a question of how well you serve the client. Now, if you're dealing with a client, some clients you're like, listen, I live 2 hours away from you. I'm not coming to your property. I'm going to mail you a lockbox, exactly what we're doing with the guy in Philly. And we're going to remotely have people show up and look at your property. And he's like, okay, I'm fine with that. Great. As long as you understand that and you're fine with that, cool, good, done. That's awesome. What we don't want to do is we don't want to tell someone, I'm your local realtor, and have them expect all of that which comes from living 5 minutes away. And then you can't deliver that because you don't live 5 minutes away.
Right.
And the last thing in that sort of, and these are not reasons not to, these are just cautions, is can you properly comp the location? Now we have Flex, we have PropStream, we have Batch Leads, and I might even be getting Connected Investors. I haven't decided yet. So we have Force, and we of course could also get Bright MLS. And we have a network of agents across the state where we can call up and say, hey, here's an address. What can you tell me about it? We have a great agent down in Philadelphia that works with us. She also buys some stuff from us. And she's like, oh, you need me to boots on the ground? Fine, send me $50 and I'll go there for you. She's like, oh, you need me to run a comp? Just tell me and I'll send it to you, no charge. So like we can get things comped, but those are the things you have to think about if you're going to be servicing a client that's not a client you can really comfortably directly service. You just have to say, okay, well, this isn't in my backyard. This isn't on my board. Can I do the job on it? Can I be reasonable? And as long as we feel you can, obviously you, but in the beginning, I want it to be us. And as long as the client knows, hey, listen, this is a bit of a limited service, great. We can also do transactional listings. So if someone says, listen, I don't want an agent. I just want to be on the MLS. I want to pay you $1,000 and have you come out, take pictures, do my paperwork, get it on the MLS. And when I find a buyer and I show it to the buyer, because all the MLS calls will go to them. There's no showing time in that. Maybe we do their paperwork on the back end. That's fine. You and I talk, we come up with a fee. We can do any of that. As long, it's all about client consent. It's all about the seller knowing, hey, I'm not the guy down the street from you. I'm not the guy who's going to babysit every one of your open houses. This is why you're hiring me, because of these skill sets. Are you okay with that? Just to avoid, first of all, just general misunderstanding, but also to avoid the dreaded phone call from Harrisburg that an inspector will be coming to the brokerage firm at XYZ time to discuss this topic. And they don't happen that often, but obviously the fewer visits from the state we get, the happier we are. So long answer to, yes, you can service them anywhere you want.
Okay.
Just make sure that that you're ready to service it in the full way. And if there's ways we're not servicing it in full, they know it.
Okay. I'm more so looking to stay within an hour radius of where I'm at.
And that's great. And by the way, the other thing you want to do is you want to network with other agents in other areas and say, hey, if you have someone that wants to come here, great. Let me be your, rather than you being on the road, I have 3 or 4 agents from out of the area that if they're selling something up here, if they're the buyer agent for something up here or whatever, hey, I'll show your buyer around for 1/3 of your commission. I won't do squat else for your buyer, but I'll show your buyer around. So, I mean, and nothing you need to, but that's basically the point is like, and honestly, I don't get a lot of things out of my area that I refer out because I don't look for it. I don't, but yeah, I mean, if for me, an hour is pretty much my radius too, as I say, so it's, that's fine, but basically, yeah, I mean, pretty much whatever you feel you can service.
Okay.
Whatever you feel you can be, and also eventually, maybe you already know it, but eventually you'll probably find a niche. I am Steve, your multifamily specialist. I never owned that moniker the way I was encouraged to. So there's a lot more multifamily guys now than there were then, but I don't bring Barbie and Ken to their dream home. I have no desire to show Barbie and Ken the place they're going to spend the rest of their life. Some agents love that. You'll also eventually understand, maybe you're an everything agent, which is wonderful, but you'll know where you want to work it and you'll know what you want to do.
Okay.
And you'll kind of grow into that. So any other questions on that or anything else?
So I did sign up for a platform, realtor.com to kind of generate some form of leads. I've gotten a few bites, nothing really that I've been able to pick up and show. So the region that I chose was a Wilkes-Barre.
Yep. Okay.
Now, I was thinking about signing up for like Zillow to see if, I saw the reason I'm signing up these platforms. So my brother, you know my brother Francis
Yeah, yeah.
Fuentes.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's had very success, with the Realtor.com and the Zillow, which with generating leads. In fact, the other day he tried to give me a lead, which that's why I was messing around with the zip forms. The client wouldn't sign the form of the exclusive buyer and seller form,
Right.
so that ended up falling through. Um, do you think it's a good idea
Oh
with
yeah,
the Realtor.com and the
definitely. Any of those, and the other one I was looking for was Opcity, but they were bought by Realtor. So okay, fine. Ideal Agent is another one that I've gotten deals from, referrals
okay,
from, and I got them through a weird, like, I didn't sign up for them. They just kind of showed, like, they just referred me or something, and I ended up paying 35%. I mean, I would caution you. Okay, so Zillow, Realtor, the big brands, Homes.com, yes, those are legit organizations. When
okay,
Ideal Agent first came to me, I would have been like, if they had like an upfront fee, I'd be like, you want me to pay you? No, I'll pay you a third of, or I'll pay you a third or 40% of the commission, but I'm not giving money to something I don't know. I happen to know Ideal Agent actually is legit.
okay,
Now, what happened to me on Ideal Agent is they had told the person 2% seller commission. And when I sat down with the person, and then when they first called me, like, oh, 2%, I said, I don't do 2%. I do 3%. Well, 90
okay,
days contract, I said, I don't. So when they send you the lead, you can, push back and say, okay, because here's the way that works. We, as an industry, cannot get together. I can't get together with the other brokers and we say, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to do anything else. And make it that a client can't choose commissions. I'm not even sure if I, as a broker, can say, none of my agents can do it for less than this. I can say my minimum dollar on every deal is $700. If you bill the client $600, you owe me $100 on top of it. Whatever. I can set that internal. I think our number is 500, but whatever. But we
okay,
can't say to a client, no one will work for you for 2%. You can, however, say, and I do it a lot. I will not. I don't take listings less than 6 months. I don't take listings. I might go to 2.5%, but that's it. That's my line. If you're not willing to do 2.5% for 6 months, I'm not your guy. I'm just not worth getting out of bed for. And I have the same rule. And Francis and I talked about this when he bought a house from me down in Hazleton. I have
yep,
the same. First of all, the NAR has the rule that you cannot work with a buyer. You cannot show a buyer a property unless they sign a buyer agency agreement. I had that rule years ago because if you are now, it does not need to be an exclusive buyer agency agreement. Buyers are non-monogamous for the most part. They don't anymore want to be with one. I shouldn't take that. I have a call that I need to return to which I might have you work this buyer for me.
okay,
But he wants an agent in this area. He wants a dedicated buyer's agent, so he's the anomaly. Now he might be saying this
okay,
to a bunch of buyers. I don't know. But it's stupid to work for somebody without an agreement of how you're going to be compensated and what services you're going to provide. And I tell everyone, I will talk to you on the phone till your face is blue. I will, send you emails. I'll sign anyone up for my subscriptions. But I won't get in my car. I won't do any real work on a specific deal until you sign a buyer agency agreement.
okay,
And they say, well, I don't want to pay a commission. Say, listen, the buyer agency agreement does two things. First of all, it makes me confidential to you. Second of all, it guarantees that someone is paying me. Now, the truth of after the NAR settlement is that the buyer is committing to pay us our commission. The way I write my buyer agency agreements, and I'll show you when we get there, is the commission is 3%. And I put on there, if all seller is offering is 2.5, I'll accept that. Anything below 2.5, the buyer has to make up the difference.
okay,
And if the seller's not offering anything, the buyer has to pay 3%. It's up to us when we write the offer to say to the buyer, hey, listen, you're offering $100,000. There's no buyer agency commission. So you're really paying 103 plus costs because you're paying me 3%. It's up to us to be clear and transparent, but I ain't doing squat unless the buyer is willing to commit. The other thing I won't do squat without is unless the buyer proves they have some form of money, meaning
Okay.
I will talk to you about the deal. I will email. We can chit chat to a reasonable extent. But I ain't getting in my car. I ain't writing contracts. I ain't going and doing research for you until you show me bank statement, proof of funds, pre-approval letter, and you agent verify that pre-approval letter. I've had some doozies where we're not real. Just because it's on a PDF doesn't mean it's real. So yeah, so basically, if they're not willing to commit, I mean, then good luck. First of all, you're in violation of NAR rules. Second of all, why work for somebody who won't commit to pay you?
Yeah, that's what my brother told him. He told him just to work with the other agent that he was working with, and we kind of just walked away from that because the guy had me. I was ready to go show the house and everything, and I told him I couldn't show him the house until he signed that form. Especially me being with how my license is, I don't want to go in violation with anything.
And the board is, and this may be because I've the board is ready to jump on violations. Like the reason I have broken a cardinal sin is I have a flip that I'm just finishing now. It's been listed since. Why was it listed since July 12th? Why was it listed since July 12th? Because I sent an email to all the board members saying this is coming soon, and didn't realize that was in violation. I had to list it or pay them $300. So the board is ready to fine, partially because they're just ready to fine, and partially because the NAR was so egregious that they can't be caught doing stuff like that. They can't be caught with allowing agents to go without buyer agreements. So no, and if somebody's not ready to be that serious, then they're not ready. That's fine. They can go find somebody. They can go find somebody else.
Right. Is there any way that we can set up a date to actually meet in the office?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're willing to come in, that'd be great. I mean, I would rather do all this. Listen, I didn't want to impose on you because I wasn't sure what I forget where you're at, so I didn't want to be like whatever.
No, it's fine. I think a Monday would probably work better for all of us.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better to. And listen, I want to support her. I realize she's got a lot going on. It's just at the same time, a lot of people, they get in this business and they're like, I don't really want to do it, but they're too afraid to say it. Now, the last thing I want to show you, and then I'll let you go, is within Zip Forms. And I can give you my login to Zip Forms and you can go look. But basically, you want to create templates of typically used documents. And I can send you a list of templates. You can Google it. When we come in, we'll show you. But basically, what the template is going to be, and this is the beautiful thing about templates, is you can set up where it automatically fills in your name, your brokerage, you're this, you're that, you're the other. But it will give you, when you open the template, all these documents are waiting for you. You've already picked them. You've already picked them and put them in a pile. So, if this is your listing template, you have a listing template, you have a listing contract, you have a seller disclosure, you have a lead disclosure, you have a consumer notice, always, always, always. You have a seller's estimated closing costs. And pretty much that's the critical ones. The rest of the stuff is in here because I don't use templates as kind of CTA. You almost always end up having something change. But you open your listing template, you clone it to a transaction, and you're off to the races. And if you set up your template correctly, we'll have your name and everything already filled into the template. So you're only filling.
Yeah, I've seen on Zip Forms where you can have that. set up. I
Yeah.
just didn't know how to set it up.
Yeah, which I can walk you through, and there's, definitely some links to that. But basically, yeah, and really, once you do that, now also we are allowed to do wholesale. We're allowed to do
Okay.
businesses. We're allowed to do commercial. We're allowed to do everything. Campgrounds and cemeteries, I think we're allowed to, but honestly, campground properties, yes. Campground memberships, I'm not sure why we would bother. I think we're legally allowed to. Cemetery plots,
Okay.
don't see a lot of growth in that business. I've never looked. But we're allowed to do anything. And with the wholesale stuff, the difference there is that we need to get the people who don't know they want to sell yet, because once they're advertised, the world already knows about it. So it's very hard to get that for a wholesale place. We
Okay.
can do so, but basically, if somebody wants to talk real estate, now the last thing I will tell you, and then I'll let you go and ask whatever questions. But the last thing is that the consumer notice is no joke. Everyone ignores it. Most agents don't do it. There is, and you learned it in class, the oral consumer notice, which is like a paragraph long, and no one ever does it. I insert a much shorter version. As soon as I'm on the phone with someone, I say, listen, there's a longer version. Listen, I have to get the thing out of the way. I am a broker. I am not your broker until we sign paperwork. I am, and if I'm the seller's agent, I represent the seller. Please, and it always ends in something formally, something like, "Don't tell me your deep, dark secrets until we sign confidentiality paperwork, because there's no confidentiality between us until we do." Not that I would misuse your information, but you're not protected.
Okay.
And that's I abbreviate that. Of course, you forget to say it sometimes, but you always want to warn people, because the state law is you're supposed to. And then as soon as you can, what is supposed to happen is as soon as you get off the phone, you're sending them the consumer notice. Now, the beautiful thing about DocuSign and the whatevers of the world is that they don't have to sign it. You have to have sent it, because you can't force someone to sign. So what a good agent does, what a type A agent does, will be, as soon as they get off the phone, they will send the CN to the client. And there is a CN for buyer, a CN for seller. Pretty much they're very similar. Now, this is the only document in all of our work that has to be this piece of paper, or the non-PAR version that the state has that looks a little different. But these words can never change.
Okay.
Early on in my wholesale career, I wanted to create a wholesale consumer notice where I added something on top about this is a wholesale transaction, and Bob Benson said, no, you can't. He's like, you can have a separate document saying they know. He's like, but you cannot touch the CN. You cannot change word one of the CN. Everything else, the buyer agency agreement, the disclosures, they can be written on the back of a napkin. A contract can be written on the back of a napkin. Technically, a contract can probably be a text message. But the state says this one, when we get the signatures on it, cannot change. Technically, what I'm saying on those phone calls is not legal, because it's supposed to be that long-ass, boring paragraph of crap the state gives us. Ain't no way in hell I'm doing that. So the point is, you want to cross these, because let's face it, every document comes from a lawsuit. This is the one that describes, I'm a seller's agent, I'm a buyer's agent, I'm a dual agent. So right now I'm your seller's agent. If one of my buyers wants to buy your property, I might become a dual agent if you allow me to. Or I might be a designated agent. I am your agent. Somebody else in my firm will be the buyer's agent, and the broker will be on both sides, if you allow me to. So this is all, and this is very important. People freak out, but it's not a contract. It's a definitional document. So anyway, everyone is supposed to get this. Does it not happen? Sure, it does not happen. But everyone is supposed to get this. Any other? I know we've kind of covered a lot. Any other questions or anything?
I don't have any questions at the moment. If I do think of any, I could probably text you or give you a call.
Yeah, and so Monday, maybe around, like, what time are you guys thinking? Like, you want to check with her and get back to me what time works? Or
Yeah, Yeah, I'll check with her and see what time
Okay.
works.
All right, sounds good.
And then I'll let you know either later on today or tomorrow what time would work.
Okay. All right, sounds good, man. All right, cool. All right,
All
and
right,
I'll
bud.
see you